Welcome to Real Estate Unlocked, the ultimate podcast for aspiring realtors, fresh faces in the business, and seasoned professionals alike. Your dynamic duo are ready to guide you through the exciting world of real estate. Please welcome your host, Erica Kauzlarich-Bird, and her co-host, Tammy Barnes.
All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of our podcast. So in the last episode, we talked about marketing, and this time we're going to talk about business planning, once again with my co-host Tammy and Mama Diane, Mama Real Estate.
Hello, everyone.
So business planning, we had touched on it a little bit in the last episode, where you don't have to make it difficult. You do need to remember that you are the CEO of your company. And I feel like you do need to have a marketing plan or a social media plan, and you have to have a business plan in that sense. But sometimes when you pull up business plans, they're very complicated. At the end of the day, you need to know how much you want to make for the year. You need to know what the average price range is in your community, and you need to know how many transactions that looks like. For everyone, it's different. It's going to be different in different areas, different states, different markets. And so you have to do that homework on your own, because you can easily say, I want to sell 10 houses, but what does 10 houses look like? Then from there, you have to break down, how many people do you need to talk to in order to sell those 10 houses or get 10 appointments, and work it that way. That's, in my opinion, that's the easiest way to break down and have the goal of, okay, this is what I want. What is that going to look like? How many open houses should I be hosting? What kind of door knocking? What kind of marketing am I going to do? What are you going to do in order to get out there, type of a thing? And I always think back, Jim Droz was a great coach. He was one of the first realtors to make $1 million in Santa Clarita. And that was when houses were like $100,000. It
was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. And he wanted Mom and I to come to his coaching event, and we did. And I think you had to talk to, he said you had to talk to like 5 or 10 people a day. Well, she was not going to go talk to 5 or 10 people a day. So she mailed, and that was how she became Queen of the Vistas, which is this condo complex there in Santa Clarita. And that was her form of talking to 10 people a day, because she did not want to have to pick up the phone and call people. So there's different ways that you can also reach out to people. When we say you don't have to necessarily be door knocking, you don't necessarily have to be cold calling. There's different ways that you can reach out to people to try to get those appointments. And it has to be what you are most comfortable with and what sort of resonates with your personality. Some people have no problem walking to a door and knocking on it. There are some people that
in cold calling today, you have to be careful, but there's laws around that.
You have the do not call registry.
Correct.
Yeah, some of it, then it's just too daunting. Or when you go door knocking, how many people? My old neighborhood, we were inundated, and so we have a no soliciting sign, and you can't knock on a door if they have a no soliciting sign. So I feel like that's where so much of our business has turned to marketing with mailers and social media, because it's harder and harder to get to the consumer. Not only that, but we hate it, right? I get so mad with all of the spam calls that come on my phone, and people.
And the other thing, I think, in business planning, looking over the past year of maybe how you would do things differently, where your work-life balance didn't work out. I think that's important to take into consideration, because otherwise this business can be very difficult on a family. And so I think it's very, very important. What did you always say, Mom? Don't do the $10 an hour. You're making it. If you're making it and you can afford to hire people that can do, what is the minimum wage today? I'm a little lost on that one. Is it varies?
I think it varies by state, but $15 an hour.
But that's the other thing to look at. It's okay if, say, you're not good with social media. That's okay. That's not your lane. But there might be an intern or a teenager that you can give a few bucks to that might help you out there. I think that's important. What do you think, Mom, of reviewing your business from the years prior? Is that how you've done it to go forward?
Yes, and you have to, it depends on where you're selling real estate at. Here in California, you almost absolutely have to have a TC. If you're a team like we are, we designate different things and do it a little bit differently now. But you have to have a TC. There's just a mound of paperwork, and that paperwork isn't going to be completed correctly unless a second set of eyes takes the time with it and then gets your mailers out and sends out your birthday cards and the things that keeps you going in the business. So that assistant, transaction coordinator, whatever you wish to call that person. And as far as pay goes, just stop and think. If it's making your business grow, the amount of money that you make, I think that you have to use some judgment on a percentage that you put in your mind mentally that you're going to give them. They need to be paid their minimum wage or a little bit above that, depending on how many things they have to do for you. But you could also add a little percentage in your mind. When I'm doing this, and because that person helped me so much to get to that point, you could throw a little bit of percent over to them. You want them to be as excited that your business is growing as you're excited to be about it. So, but yes, you need help in order to do as many things that you have to do, not right at the beginning, obviously. And also when you're setting your dollars that Erica was talking about for how much do I want to make? Well, we'd all like to make $1 million and do it like in the first 3 months so we could travel with it for the other 9. But be realistic to your family, your family's needs, the sporting events your kids are involved in, anything like that. So be realistic. Put down a number that is an achievable goal so that if you reach that, you're happy. And if you exceed that, you're going to be thrilled. If you make the number high just because you know that can be done eventually, it's not done right away. So don't disappoint yourself. Okay. And then you can sit down and figure out and learn how to adjust your time frames and learn how to adjust around the kids' things and that kind of thing. So do it one step at a time, depending on where you're at in the business at this time.
Well, and that goes to systems and organizations as well, which we will cover in other episodes. But your business plan should also sort of have a system and an organization sort of all a part of that. What goes hand in hand with that is having systems in place in order to fulfill your business plan. There are a lot of brokerages that have, whether it's a receptionist or they might have someone within the company there that the broker is already paying, but they are able to assist you with things. And one of the other brokerages we were at, the broker was happy if we gave the receptionist something to do. So I would have them address envelopes or stuff envelopes, do things of that nature. I would give them some of those tasks and go, could you have this done by Thursday? I wouldn't try and make them do it last minute, but then they weren't just sitting there not answering a phone that's hardly ringing anymore, right? And brokerages want to have a face for when people enter the door, but they're not really doing very much. And even our current company, we have a lot of our California company, we have access to people that we can say, hey, we need you to do this for us. We need you to do that. And they are a resource because your broker wants you to be successful. You're successful, they're successful. So they want that and they want the visibility of the company. So think about that too when you're not only interviewing to work at a company, but if you're currently at a company, maybe it's not something that you thought of asking the broker, but ask the broker, can I utilize the receptionist? Can I have them help me with certain things and with some of my marketing pieces? And I'm sure that a lot of brokerages have that in place.
And if they don't, that's a good spark for them. You know, they don't know what you need unless you are reaching out. You know, just complaining doesn't cut it. So, you know, if you really feel like that's something that your brokerage should have, then, you know, bring that up. And I'm serious when I say there's a lot of teenagers that end up applying for those jobs because, first of all, they need to have a good resume, and having real estate on their resume is a good thing. And so, you know, it's not difficult to find somebody on the brokerage level for them to offer that to their agent. That's what keeps your agent.
Yeah.
So if you're a broker listening to this and you don't know why people are leaving you, you know, sometimes agents don't speak up, especially if they're new, because they don't know what they don't know. So they're thinking, well, this isn't my brokerage, so am I allowed to speak up? Yes, you are, because, you know, what you said is spot on, you know, right down to the marketing pieces where they give you the template. So you can post on social media very quickly and easily and you don't make money sitting at the desk. That's what moms tell us.
Right.
You know, your money is made outside of the office, not sitting in the office and folding mailers and so forth.
Well, yeah, not everyone is tech savvy. So our company, you know, when it was time to roll the clocks back and all of the different holidays, man, they're spot on a couple days before. Here's your social media elements, and, you know, they send it out to us. So I like making my own, but that's super helpful for the people that aren't techie and things like that. I think also when you're looking at your business plan, you need to include your spouse in your business plan and your spouse's or your significant other. What is their sphere of influence? Because you really think about yourself, but then you don't think of who does my significant other know, what is going on in their workplace. Is there a way for your business to be brought into that? It was interesting because Mom asked me about a particular agent, and she's like, where does she get all this business? And I'm like, her husband. And I had found that out just at a networking event. And she spoke up about it. That's where a lot of her contacts come from, is her husband's company and people that work with her husband. And that's how she has all of the business that she has. And she does a good amount of business. So you have to think about that as well and really bring into play.
Or if you have coworkers, if you come out of a company, your coworkers want to know how you're doing. And so don't be afraid to reach out and let them know and touch base. And, you know, I mean, there's ways of getting that sphere of influence, and that is part of the business plan. Like, really look at it and say, did I do a good job there? Where is my database? What's it looking like? Have I done a good job with the mailers and so forth? It's just a good time, especially right now. It's slower, and now's the time to really stop and think about how you're going to do business going forward.
Yeah, and, you know, I thought of another thing too. Somebody would have to Google it, but I had learned this at one of our previous brokerages. You can actually, I think it's a Google Chrome extension, but you can actually extract the birthdays of all of your Facebook friends.
You can?
You can. So I had to make mine disappear because I did not take into consideration the fact that I have over 3,000 Facebook friends. So it syncs with my Google Calendar, and I couldn't see any of my appointments because all the birthdays were first. And I would have to click on like each individual day to see what my appointments were. So I was able, though, it extracted it as like an Excel file. So I do have it as an Excel file. I just did not put it into my Google Calendar because it was way too inundated and I needed to be able to see everything else. So even something as simple as that, because sending a personal birthday card I always send, or I send a personal text message, but at least I know ahead of time and I'm not having to constantly be in Facebook anymore. I just go down the list and see whose birthday is it today. And I send personal text messages, personal messages, or if it's a past client, I might even mail them like a little ice cream gift certificate or send them a little Starbucks, have a coffee on me, birthday coffee type of a note or an email or whatever. It's all of those personal touches because that makes people feel special. Very rarely, so if any of my friends are listening, I send you personal messages. You will not see me wishing people happy birthday on their Facebook wall. It just gets lost. I feel bad. Even when people wish me a happy birthday, there's hundreds of them and you can't hardly keep up and things get missed. I like to be able to stand out. So I send a special text message to those people individually. And that should be part of your business plan as well. Sending birthday cards, anniversary cards, whatever kind of information you can get ahead of time on your clients is great information to be able to follow up with things like that.
And you can add to that list the anniversary of when you sold them their home. That way you're sending it to the whole family because sometimes your Facebook friends are just one person out of the family. And that way it goes to the whole family going, wow, you're on year number 10. How about we sell? No, don't put that.
Do you do your business plan every year still, Mom?
I do. I do a very simple business plan. Because I'm pretty much kind of a robot about what I do. I do my mailers on a set schedule, and I've always done that since I started them. But I do the dollars. I look at the dollars. I divide them up for the year, and then I watch it as I'm going along. And if sometimes the first 3 months isn't great, then you have to really hustle through that summer to get back up to the numbers, because then the end of the year is going to slow back down again. So it gives you something to guide you by. And that's why I say you have to set it where it's a true number that you feel capable of making. Obviously, at my age now, the number has gone down significantly and I have to face that reality. But it's still a doable number to keep going and enjoy life. And that's what you want, is you want it to fit your family. And, we talked a little bit in the last podcast, but I want to make one more comment about we were talking about don't compare yourself to other people, and don't try to be who somebody is that's been in the business for many, many years. You do what works for you, what works for your family, especially your significant other, and keeping your kids. The memories you make with your family far outweighs getting that award or that plaque or that anything in this business. This is your job. And real estate gives plaques for many different reasons. And that's great. That's wonderful. And recognition, everybody enjoys that to a degree. But don't make that your life work. Your life work is that you and your family, wow, we've had 2-3 back-to-back escrows, and now maybe you can go somewhere as a family and take that time to go there. So you have to think about all of those things as part of this planning type of thing. Not that you say, oh, the kids are going to go with their dad and go somewhere because I'm going to stay back. I'm going to do more open houses. I'm going to. That time will go by, and trust me, I'm at the age where I can tell you all exactly how fast it goes. I was like 40, 41, 42. And I don't know, I went to bed one night and I woke up and it was my 80th birthday. And I'm just really not sure how I got there. It went by that fast mentally. That's how you feel. So don't let it fly by like that. Utilize everything within and be realistic about you and your family.
Well, and when you're putting together that business plan, if there is someone that you're looking at, and I've done it too, and I did it, probably in my younger years of real estate. But if there's someone that you're looking at and you're thinking, I want to be like them, even if they're within your own brokerage, even if they're with a different brokerage, you need to ask them, I want to attain the same level of business that you would obtain. because there's enough business to go around for everyone. So there's a lot of agents out there that they are willing to collaborate. They are willing to mastermind. They're going to gatekeep some stuff, but they're going to be truthful and they're going to let you know. And that's why you want to say, what does your life look like? And that's why I say you have to know what it looks like, because there's, an agent that we know of that her family went on vacation for like 3 weeks and she only went for 1 week of the vacation and does a lot of business. Well, so at the end of the day, do you want to be only with your family for 1 week out of the 3 weeks, or do you want to be with them for the 3 weeks? That's why you have to know what someone's life looks like, because like I said, when we've talked about jumping to the next level, I knew what that looked like at the time that I was a mom, had a daughter in sports. I was a wife. My husband loves me going to Lowe's with him. I can't be doing 3 open houses on the weekend. That was not going to fly. Is it attainable for someone to make that kind of money? Yes. Could I have made that kind of money? Absolutely. But was my husband going to love me doing 3 open houses in a weekend? Nope. And my husband hated me doing open houses. And he actually we had a seller that they were adamant about open houses every weekend. And I said, I'll do a couple because we couldn't find people to do them. And he sat them with me. He did not like the fact that strangers would be coming through and I was by myself, and he sat on the couch and, played on his phone. So that's where, when I point out, what does it look like? That's my point. What does it look like to be able to obtain that? And you have to sit down with your family and make sure your family is on board with it, and that's where a lot of the organization comes up, right? Because there's, at the drop of a hat, we can have a client call us at 5 p.m. going, I want to go see this house. Well, then who's making dinner? Do you have a plan for dinner? My every Sunday was meal planning for the week, because then I was at least able to say, hey, babe, this is what I was going to make for dinner. It's all in the fridge ready to go. And he had no problem with that. So it really is. That's why I say, bring in your significant other, bring in your family, because everyone has to know what that looks like. And then that's how it ends up being a very cohesive, you don't have anyone angry when and for some people, I'm fortunate enough that I'm not the breadwinner. So I didn't have a level that I absolutely had to be at. I set a level for myself because I like really nice things. And I knew what I wanted out of that. But for some people, if it's, hey, babe, I need to make this much money, this is what it looks like, you almost have to be okay with that. But there still is really no other business that you can make this kind of money and still be there for your family and be there for your kids and be able to go to the school play and be on the soccer field. So it's still a great business to be in. But as long as you have all of this done up front, then everyone knows where each other stands and what it's going to look like. That's why I keep kind of using that phrase.
And brokers, if they're listening to us, they need to do their business plan too, which most of them do, but their business plan looks a little bit different. If you're losing agents or agents are not happy, well, it takes a lot of work to keep going out there and recruiting every year. So take that into consideration. And when you're doing your office meetings and so forth, and prior to you doing your business plan, I think it's important that they check in with their agents to see how they can, give them more tools, give them the resources and the manpower if that's what's needed for their success. And that's, you have to look at that too as an agent, of evaluating where you're at in your brokerage as well, because boy, it can be very debilitating if you just feel like you're stuck and you shouldn't, it's not good in some towns to continue moving around. It's, you got to take that into consideration. But if something's not working, you have to change it, because this industry will wear you down if you try, to just stick it out and, oh, it's okay. And no, it's not okay. Sales is very difficult if you don't have that support. Would you two agree with that?
I agree with that. And I would like to say that our broker right now, he announces at many of the meetings that he considers all of his agents, and he has many, he considers all of his agents his clients, and he treats us like a client would be treated. So he is asking, he wants to know, he wants to participate, he wants us to all succeed, and he wants to put things in place that we can all utilize. And I think he's probably one of the most open brokers that I've seen as far as sharing that kind of information, so we can all go back and state what, oh, this would be nice if we could do that. But he has an awful lot of systems in place, and especially for the younger agents. I'm older, so I can't utilize everything that technology now offers. I'm not going to start trying to learn everything that's out there, but boy, everything that's out there makes your day a lot faster, a lot easier. Set it, forget it, it goes off by itself, all those good kind of things. And that's a terrific thing for this business. I started where there were some books that came out every 2 weeks, whether you liked it or not. So if you had a new listing, you had to wait 2 weeks for the next book to go out. There was no internet, there was no anything. So quite a different world. And I did learn enough to keep going this long, but now there's so many new things that are, I hear him talk about him and I'm thinking, wow, that's a big wow. But I have not taken the time, and I don't intend to. I'm honest about that type of thing. That's why I've got Erica and Tammy. I ship it to Colorado.
Well, and it goes back to what we said earlier about stay in your lane. You know, that's very smart, because it just takes up too much of your time. And then, like we've said before, then you do nothing. So if that's not your lane, that's okay.
That's right.
It's okay if, things that people tell your mentor or us, if that's not what you do and that's not who you are, you do you, and that's what's going to be success.
Yeah, and I
For
think
sure.
I think for brokers that are out there listening, the brick and mortar, they have a lot that they have to look at, because you've got a lot of, not a lot, but you have tech companies and you have online real estate companies that are far exceeding what some of the brick and mortar. So it's taking some of those tools that are out there and the brick and mortar brokers putting that into action for their agents. And that's what our current broker, and just like he said, he's more focused on us and what our wants and needs are, so that in turn that passes down to the consumer, and that allows us to take care of our clients, because he's taking care of what we need within our business in order to succeed. And I feel like some brokers, especially ones that have been in the business for a very long time, or they have a brokerage that is sustaining itself, they just a lot of people get on the status quo, even us as agents that have been in it 20 and 30 years. You get complacent, and we're sort of in a day and age that you can't be complacent anymore.
I agree with that.
You have to continue to be relevant, and you have to really constantly be ever evolving. And that's where, like, for us, for our California team, like Mom said, she's got me for the techie side, and we have Sunshine and Christina, and that helps when she needs assistance on stuff that she just doesn't want to have to relearn or reinvent the wheel. But you have to constantly be engaged in what is new and happening within the industry and the business.
It is evolving and changing quickly. It's amazing to me. It really is.
And something that really surprises me, and I've heard this, I can't even tell you how many times in the last couple of years especially, is that I've had agents say back to me, they'll go, "Thank you for taking my call. Thank you for calling me. I just so appreciate that." And they're like overly grateful, and I don't quite understand that. And I finally realized what they were saying. Instead of a text message, texting is a terrific tool. It absolutely is. Works for many, many wonderful things. When you're in the middle of working on a file, you've got the seller's agent, the buyer's agent, and if you think you're going to be able to text and keep that file going smoothly, you don't know your profession in any way, shape, or form. You still need to pick up a telephone. You still need to be transparent with each other in order to keep things going. Don't be hiding things. I tell all the lenders that I work with, I tell them the day the escrow opens, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. When I pick up a phone and I call you, I want a transparent answer. We can work on everything together. Maybe we have to go a few more days. Maybe we have to do an extension. Maybe. But we need to know what the real story is, not the like, oh, we're working on it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And then the hammer comes down on everybody. So learn that some of us in the older days, it was a better option than what you have now. Texting has its purpose. It holds up in courts and everything, and I understand all that. But my goodness, when you have to type a whole page in a text message, makes no sense. You could have had the call done and been on your day working on something else. So get along and do your work together. You both want the file to close. You want clients happy on both sides. And if you learn that you can do that and still do a great job, you're not enemies. You know, you're working on the same goal is finishing and closing. So I just want to throw that out there from the elderly side of the transactions.
No, it's a very good point. And, you know, same with email. You know, once I've always said 2 to 3, depending on what the conversation is. When it's going nowhere, pick up the phone.
Right.
And, you know, and that you had said it earlier where, you know, we are a society that we're not interacting with each other. And that is what makes it hard when young realtors, especially, they don't understand why they're not making the millions that they see on Netflix and all these other real estate reality shows that are not reality. The reality is you have to work hard and it's day in and day out and be consistent. And that's no secret, right? That is, and I don't care what day and age we're in. I don't care what gen letter you are. I've been canceled. I'm sure you've been canceled, Mom, but we're still here because
nobody cancels the Sicilian. I have a town car. I can run over people.
That's right. Erica still is relevant. She's in a different lane, but you and I think we've been canceled. But anyways, but I don't care what day and age we're in. The whole point is it's still the same. Consistency. There's not a business out there. It's too good to be true if it's millions of dollars out the gate.
And the other bad thing about a text message that I may as well throw on this plate, you can't hear the tone of somebody. And sometimes you read it and now everybody's mad. And the person who sent it doesn't even understand why everybody got mad. They were just simply asking a question or making a statement. But because you read it with a certain tone in your ear that you didn't get to hear, the other person might have just been trying to catch you up or that kind of thing. So it's so important to keep a relationship going, not only with the client, but with the other side. The other side is not your enemy, please. They are the foe. And please remember that, especially if you're starting out in this business. You all need to work together because it's the only thing that's going to bring back everybody in the world getting along is if we can all do our little piece to get along.
Well, and that's where when you're putting together your business plan and you're going to be looking at your sphere of influence, you have to know your audience and you have to know what is the best way to communicate to them. So with our California audience, they're not so inclined for text messages, you know, and I mean, a prime example was one of the companies we were at in corporate was out and I said, hey, listen, could you make a few tweaks to the listing presentation? Because it's only meant for digital. And the guy came back at me and said, well, you need to just get on the digital train and you're just not going to be relevant. And I said, the average age of our client is 70, and you want me to send them a digital listing presentation. That's not going to work. I still have to print it off and I hand deliver it. So, I mean, when you have clients like that, they're not going to want you to text message them. They're not going to want you to send a digital listing presentation. You have to know your audience. And that's when I've had high executive clients where the only way I can get through to them is, I had one that was a doctor and he's like, only text message me. Well, then when there was something important to discuss, my text message would be, could you call me when you're done with surgeries? Because we really need to talk. And then it was in his court and he would call me when it was convenient and I wasn't annoying him. But literally through the entire transaction, it was only text message me. I'm in surgery nonstop all day, every day. So then there would be times that I'm going, okay, this needs a phone call. And he would call me, later on that evening when he could actually wrap his brain around everything. So you do have to kind of know your audience, and you have to know who it is that you're reaching out to know what form of communication that looks like. Because also, when you're putting together your business plan, are we going to do email newsletters? You have to know all of that ahead of time. Because we've been in the business for so long. Now, granted, throughout the transaction, we were emailing, but we didn't take those emails and put them into any kind of a database. So we don't send out email newsletters. If you're going to send out email newsletters, you start gathering people's email addresses. These are all of the things that you have to put into a business plan and decide, am I going to do email newsletters, the digital magazine, whatever it is, what is it, and what is that form of communication going to look like? For us, we know that we just do mailing, and that's worked for us. So we continue to do it. But for those that are newer in the business, you have to know that as well, so that you know what information do you need up front in order to be able to do that. Be ready to hit the ground running come January. If you do your business plan in January, you're too late, because anything that you do in January is going to bring you business 5-6 months down the road. You don't just get instant business from what you're doing. It's planting a seed, watering that seed, watching it grow into a flower, then it becomes a flower. So it's the same with real estate too.
And it continues to grow because our database is our base database. Yep, they're all in the 70s now because, of course, that's where I am and past. But don't forget, our database is larger because we have their kids and then we have the grandkids. So I'm so proud of that because they've continued with the families. So it's all worthwhile. Yes, we still mail because I get 1,000 emails a day because Erica and I both like to do crafting, and every craft store, Google tells them all to be sure and send me another email 12 times a day. So I'm deleting. So I'm not a fan of sending my newsletter. I send out a personalized letter, and I send something of value regarding real estate along with that. And I have sent something monthly from way back when, and Erica's got things, of course, that she has sent and compiled too. She can do more on the social media side, so then we each have our own lane for that, because I can work on the straight lettering and she works on the fancier stuff. So you can put it all together. You just have to take a moment, like she said, and who's your audience at works.
Mom gets invited to weddings. She went to a wedding for one of the grandkids, and they introduced her. They said, "This is our family realtor."
And that's your goal, right? That is your
That's
goal.
my goal. That's correct.
That's what I said. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, did you talk to everyone? She's like, yeah. And everyone's like, oh, you're the family realtor. So.
And they sat me at the family table.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They did. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
impressive. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. Yep. That's what everybody should strive to be, is that you have families that call you because you're their family realtor. I love that. That's awesome.
And when you look back on that, like I say, there's a lot of things as you get older, but when I look back on that now, that gives me the pride that I took the time with the people, because it was obviously important to them to be able to stay in their family for this long, and it's several families that way. So that's very rewarding, and it makes you not resent anything that you've done, or any time or extra time or whatever time you take. So they're loyal back to us, and that's what you're after, is a loyal database that continues through your years. This was a career for us, and not just let's do it and see if we can do it part-time. No part-time. This is a real job, real career.
And professional.
And I love it.
Got to. Yeah, you do love it. We all love it. We
Yeah,
all love it.
we do.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely. I say you love it because you do have that competitive business side to you, and then, like you say, I think all of us have our different lanes because we were grown, so you didn't have us to take care of. You had Dad, and you know, so you made sure that his little dinner was on the table, but you didn't have. You were at that different time in life. We were all married and had our kids, so.
I was in high school.
Oh, that's right. You were in high school, so you were doing
I cooked dinner.
She got her real estate license on her graduation day, and that was a Thursday, I think, and then bought herself a townhome on Sunday and used her commission. So
Yeah.
that's how her career began.
The day my license came in the mail.
That's how much she believed in it, that's for sure. But no, I'm just internally grateful, because I look back on my life and go, wow, I was always there. I was always there. And it was nice I never thought, I know my insecurities, I never thought I could do real estate. I thought that, for anybody who's thinking that, when we walked into our brokerage, I remember I said to Mom, oh, these people know a lot and I don't. Oh man, she got so mad at me. You march in there, right? and I did, and there was a couple transactions where I was the person that blew the whistle on a few things that top realtors. The transaction was involved top realtors of the company, and I was pretty proud of myself because I, was mentored correctly by Mom, and I made good notes. And when this file was going south really fast, I was able to pull it back together and look those two agents in the eye and say, oh no, you've arrived with not even the file. So you could look at the notes to how we got here, So all of that is just important as far as being a professional. Make sure you're just looking back and if 2024 is a year you need a mentor, then like Erica said, reach out now and get on it, because it really is a good business. And that's what our goal with this podcast is, to bring the professionalism that we feel that realtors deserve. And with so much in the media right now, it just, like that post we talked about in the last podcast, that, we're above that. We're professionals, and hope everybody listening feels the same and wants to be there.
Yeah, and we're excited. We were talking on the way up here, and sort of going over our own business plan. And, what I'm excited about is letting everyone know that for some of you that are new in the business out there, I've passed my Colorado exam. I now have my broker's license in Colorado as well. And Tammy and I are starting a team out here. And we're literally starting from scratch, because I don't have a kid in elementary school anymore. I don't really know anyone. We have a few friends out here. We do have family, but there's also a family member attached to them that's in real estate. So rightfully so, that's going to be sort of their go-to person. So, we really are starting out this business, not knowing anyone and having to build a business from ground zero. So I think that's what's exciting as well, is that we're going to be able to, along the way, kind of tell our listeners, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is what's working. This is what we've been doing that hasn't been working, because we do have enough experience in the business and a lot of years behind us that we know how it goes, but it's still some uncharted waters, because it's like, we don't know anyone. We know the areas. I've come to know a lot of the areas really well, and my real estate brain. I've done that. I've, referred a few clients already to someone out here because I didn't have my license, and, he talked through neighborhoods and they wanted me actively involved. So I was involved in all of it. So I started learning the areas. The areas well. You've been out here long enough. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to be able to just kind of share our growth here in Colorado, because we've shared our growth in California, but we're now in the same boat as a lot of people starting from scratch and listening to us. So it's going to be nice to kind of report back and go, this is what's working, this isn't what's working. And really, we're going to be able to put all of this into action again, right? We're telling people what to do, but you and I are physically going to be putting it
we'll be
into action. That. Yeah, exactly.
You guys get to be
holding us accountable.
You guys get to be the official testers.
Yeah.
Test the systems.
Yeah,
for
sure. And tweak.
And then I'm hoping we're going to grow our team a bit, and I'm hoping to do more mentoring, because I really do like the profession, and some of the people starting out are a little bit lost and bashful and shy and different things. And so we're going to be working on that too, where we take on a few more team members and help them grow their business. So we've got a lot of things going on, and we do use what we talk about here, and we can certainly tell you what works, what we feel works, and what doesn't work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited. New year.
Yeah. And, and again, it's going to be relative to where you are and what area you're in, where it's important to, once again, just to reiterate the business plan of how much money do you need to make in a year? What is the average sales price? What are the typical commissions? And working your way backwards. And, I'll never forget when we were at REMAX, and we had changed our roles of team leader. So I was finally team leader and got to go on stage to collect our award. And I was behind the scenes, and there was a guy that we were congratulating each other and kind of high-fiving, and we were all excited for each other. But he was from back east, and I think he had asked me, I said, gosh, like, how many transactions does that look like to make that kind of money? And he said 134 homes. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he goes, well, how many did you close? I was 12. So, there's, and honestly, I said, I almost feel like I don't deserve this award. I said, it wasn't 12. I think it was 22 transactions, but still my 22 transactions to his 134. Oh, I could not even wrap my brain. So again, that's why I say, what does that look like? Because you have to know what that looks like for your particular market, because I talk as if it's daunting. It is a little daunting for us to do the 22 transactions because of a lot of different factors, the number of agents that are in our community, the population that's in our community. So there's some that are wide and vast. You and I are excited for Colorado because there's only like 19,000 realtors in the entire state. So you and I are sitting here going, wow, there's enough business to go around. Some areas, there's quite honestly not necessarily enough business to go around. And so that's why that whole visibility trumps ability comes into play, because I can't speak for what real estate is like in Nebraska or Missouri or North Carolina. So for some people, it could look like 10 transactions if your average price is $1 million. For others, it's going to be 22. For others, it's going to be 135. So that's why you have to really go into the numbers part of it.
Any closing thoughts, ladies? That was a good point.
No.
Very good point.
Once again, don't forget to visit connectwitherica.com. That's where you find free downloads. Some of them go with the podcast. Others are just marketing items that I throw together and I want to share them with all of you. So always check the website and see what new things I have uploaded for you. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Real Estate Unlocked. We hope you've gained valuable insights to unlock your potential in this dynamic industry. Remember, your support means the world to us. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube. As we wrap up this episode, always remember that every door in real estate is an opportunity waiting to be unlocked. Keep pushing forward and your success will follow. Don't forget to ask questions, find resources, and explore connectwitherica.com. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, stories, and expert advice on Real Estate Unlocked.